All right, I'm gonna do a thing on Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift news tonight. Well, let's see. All right. All right, the article says Taylor Swift's popularity is a sign of society decline. Oh, shit. Audiences and elite tastemakers alike have decided Taylor Swift's narcissistic lyrics and glitched music are a cultural triumph. But why would we celebrate this? Huh, that's a great question. After Taylor Swift's massive errors tour uh, is packing stadiums to the point her shows are causing earthquakes, even through bad seats, or often going for 1,000 or more. Wow. Swift isn't just uh, resuscitating the post-COVID live music industry. She's threatening to help rescue America's flagging theater business. How dare she? It was recently announced that she struck a deal with AMC Theaters to show a 3-hour concert film from her smash tour for the millions of people who couldn't get tickets. Starts showing October. Geez, AMC is charging higher ticket prices than normal, which are already absurd. Yeah. And the pre sale figures for the movie tickets are already breaking records based on some back of the envelope math gleaned for some speculative news reports. Swift might make something close to $500 million off this tour and all the related revenue. Jesus freaking Christ. She's not even that great. I mean, I listened to like 7 songs and only 2 were good, right? And they weren't even her songs. They were Taylor Swift's version. Oh, like a freaking cover. And I'm like, oh, because her music sucked fucking ass. I don't know why people are going ape shit and paying so much money to see her. I won't even see her at a practice show. I go, yeah, I'd rather have somebody shoot me in the head than go watch that. Yeah, I'd rather die than go watch that. And it's not just that Swift has conquered the unwashed masses. America's elite tastemakers have also become unrepentant Swifties. This summer, the New York Times covered Swift with an enthusiastic zeal not reserved for any other figure since maybe Obama, even going so far as to publish a distasteful meditation on internet randos, lesbian fantasies about her. Well, that's what the New York Times thinks. New York Times loves Obama. Trust me, I'm a former liberal, but Obama's like all other candidates, even people that become the president. He's a fucking scumbag. Okay, I don't care if a liberal sees this and they go, "But I love that guy." Everybody that runs and wins the highest office, even the guy that said, "I don't tell a lie. I chopped down the cherry tree." Washington was a fucking scumbag. Come on, man. He was. He's just probably better hiding it because, he was the first president and all that. Most recently, the New Yorker issued its high toned blessing by publishing a remarkable essay. Listening to Taylor Swift in prison, her music makes me feel that I'm still part of the world I left behind. There was a time when we imagined that everyone in the prison yard would stand around, overwhelmed by the sheer emotion and elevation of the soul produced by hearing soul aria from Mozart's Le Nazi di Figaro, even though they had no idea what those two Italian ladies were singing about. But if blank space is what you've got on the cheap commissary radio to help you count the days, I'm not going to begrade you or begrudge you. I guess so, man. Still, someone who truly, deeply cares about the state of popular music has to stand athwart Taylor Swift yelling, "What is this shit?" And it might as well be intelligently dyspeptic Gen X guy with nothing to lose. To be clear, I'm not so hostile or out of touch that I don't get important aspects of her appeal. I think she's worth paying attention to because something about Swift resonates at the frequency of America. I don't think it does, but I think I'm not a big fan of pop music today. Yeah. So, I don't care if she's the most popular female artist. Who cares? That's what I'm saying. But I'm generally not sure her popularity is a testament to her talent. That's what I'm saying. And I can't think of another major post WW2 music figure I'm honestly, or World War II music figure I'm honestly this conflicted about estimating their gifts. Swift is a phenomenal marketer. Yeah, I agree with him. Or whoever wrote this, she works very hard. And from what I can tell, almost no one at her level cares about her fans and reaching out to them personally the way Swift does. Well, whatever works, works. That's cool. Further, a lot of positive developments came out of the internet, destroying the cabal of corporate music executives, the radio programmers that previously controlled popular tastes, were now coming to terms with how resulting fragmentation has been determinal to society. We hardly have anything in the way of a shared common culture. That's all true. Yeah. Really popular culture kind of sucks now. So people tend to cling to anything that breaks through the din and consolidates any pop culture support like it's some kind of life raft. Ha! Yeah, music has the power to connect people through shared experience, and people desperately want the connection in the polarizing age. Well, that's true. That's why I like things like Ed Sheeran. He's great. I never, maybe early Ed Sheeran, I could be like, oh, that handful of songs kind of sucks. I've heard further Ed Sheeran. Can't say that about any other songs beyond like maybe his first album or something. Right. Stuff past that, I'm like, this does not suck. I heard the whole album is great. In the case of Swift, however, that connection has to be interpreted like everything else these days through a political lens. Thus, New York Times columnist Michelle Goldberg declares after years of COVID isolation, rash reactionary politics, a mental health crisis that has hit girls and young women particularly hard, there's a palpable losing for both communal delight and catharsis. While there's some truth in this observation, I regret to inform Goldberg that Swift's fan base is so massive that a huge part of it agrees with the reactionary politics New York Times readers seem to deplore. Well, yeah, they're paying $1,000 for like the really bad seats. Yeah, that's another reason why I'm glad I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. Right. I thought 100 was a lot for a really bad seat at Wu Tang, but technically it really wasn't. They could have charged a lot more than that. Right. The best with the show they put down, 3 sets. Wow. They made that $100 worth it. The best pop stars simply transcend uh, uh, pedestrian political concerns. Explaining Swift's appeal doesn't have to be done through the lens of feminism. 6 years ago, long before, say, the Dobbs decision or the New York right writing essays about the Longhouse, I observed after Tom Petty's death, a huge swath of America across beliefs, cultures, generations, and races would want to claim Tom Petty's music and feel some solidarity in his loss. True, I felt it. I saw him on his last tour. A few months after he played Queens, he was gone. And I was glad that he didn't, like, he's about to play where I live. No, he played Queens really early on that thing. I was in Queens, and then he died. And it was bad, but, at least I saw him. That was a good thing. Yeah. We need unifying culture, figures, and artists now more than ever. Petty was obviously very uh, masculine, and a baby boomer. But his massive appeal over several decades, the time of his death, one out of every 40 songs played on classic rock radio was a Tom Petty. That's pretty good. The Swift's appeal are both born of universal desire for human connection. Yeah. The rise of me music. What has changed? The overall culture. Mal Maleo, Millie EU, all right, that produced Swift, compared to pop stars of previous generations, how they reflect changing values. Ironically enough, Tom Wolfe coined the phrase the me decade to refer to the 1970s when artists such as Tom Petty rose to stardom. Well, yeah, it's in that book I read that Stephen Blush wrote. When rock met disco, that definitely was the me decade. Right. The idea was Americans were starting to move away from having identity rooted in community and moving toward automation And certainly a big part of that development was the ability for individuals to find meaning outside local communities and identify with distant pop culture figures whose identity and branding were created by relatively new mass media technologies. Yeah, and the me decade was the rise of the yuppies. You know, the former hippie that gets a job in the late '60s at the as a A&R guy at the record label. Pretty soon he's wearing a suit, making a shit ton of money, and he's a yuppie, right? And now it's like 1971, and he's in the me decade, making millions, right? Being the guy that he didn't want to be, but now, fuck it. The '60s are over, man. Time to move on. But this development, however startling it was to astute critics such as Wolf, was embryonic 50 years ago. Taylor Swift, we see it in full flower. Maybe it took 30 some years, but the cultural trends that emerged from the 1970s finally produced an artist almost uh, uh, W. Holly. Will Holly, dedicated to me music. This finally brings me to my actual gripe. the, the specifics of why and how her music sucks. It early defined self obsession rather than introspection. Yeah, well, I think her music definitely sucks. Where other artists will occasionally do a Christmas album, it seems like every Taylor Swift album is a festivity, festivus record devoted to the airing of grievances and feats of artistic strength. To the end, she has almost woefully paranoid and pioneered a new genre of what in uh, acquaintance of mine calls the belly aching about a boyfriend song. It's true that young men are frequently terrible to young women, and there's nothing inherently wrong with this being fodder for pop songs. That's true. These young men are being sometimes a bunch of red pill betas. But maybe when they actually are with women, they're a bunch of mean assholes. That could be what happens. Maybe they gotta learn some respect. That's right. But there are women's. There are women's. There's yet another song on her latest record bashing one of her famous exes, John Mayer. Oh, you see, man, following up on their infamous breakup song, Dear John. His name is John. 2010. Look, everyone knows Mayer was a terrible womanizer, but this was known before he dated her. Right. And that was 14 years ago. Whether he's fully atoned or not, the guy has since gone sober and moved to Montana or whatever. It's, as the kids say, pretty cringe. Yeah, to still be exploiting these past relationships. Get over it, bitch. Yeah, that's right. I mean, you're still talking about this guy 14 fucking years later. Jesus. He's moved on. He moved to like the middle of fucking nowhere. Got a new life for, yeah. Which, considering Swift's had a charmed life since she was a teenager, seem like pretty hollow examples of genuine heartbreak. Uh huh. All right. How much? Oh, Jesus. This goes on for quite a while, so I'll make this probably the end of the news cycle. All right. All right. Hold on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Aside from generally objectionable thematic content, it's also true that a great many of her lyrics are just so forced as to be terrible. Yeah. Anti hero, she sings. Did you hear my covert narcissism? I disguise as uh, altruism, like some kind of con- congressman, which hangs in the lover of lyrics where I audibly groaned the first time I heard it. True, it's a bit further down the hall from the place of honor occupied by hike up your skirt and show your world to me. Aside from the clunker, a reference to congressmen, it's just adorable. She thinks her narcissism is covert. Since this is what passes for self reflection from Swift, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Still, I know enough Swifties whose judgment I respect, and they insist she's talented lyricist. Ha! Yeah, really. Those lyrics were horrible. When pressed for an example of said talent, one suggested this lyric from All Too Well of the Red Album, off the Red Album. And you call me up again just to break me like a promise. So casually cruel in the name of being honest. And you know what? That's a pretty good lyric. Yeah, all right, that's great. Better than those other lyrics. Those other lyrics sucked. If you could name 12. Oh, all right. Okay. But in context, All Too Well, it's just another breakup song. And some of the lyrics uh, demonstrate a degree of obliviousness. That's concerning. Yeah, totally is. Now you mail back my things and I walk home alone. But you keep my old scarf from the very first week because it reminds you of innocence and smells like me. You can't get rid of it. I'm sorry, but leaving an item of clothing at the house of your ex and then citing that as proof he's not over you is borderline bunny boiler behavior. This distressingly, there's plenty of evidence that Swift's dysfunctional view of relationships is already influencing the minds of new generation of pop stars. Just take a gander at the lyrics to up and comer Olivia Rodrigo's Vampire and an excruciatingly bitter, plotting ballad that is inexplicably a smash hit. I still stand by the fact it's a mistake to read too much in the way of politics or feminism in the Swift's appeal. But given her popularity in the face of this lyrical obsession, it's a chicken or egg first proposition about whether the culture avatar of millennial females is famous for being near constantly romantically aggrieved, even as TikTok is full of videos of women insisting, no, really, it's great being 29 and I'm married and childless. Yeah. She's all these fucking songs about her ex, all these fucking breakup songs. It's creating, like a lot of music in this time period, horrible future pop. Maybe one of these stupid fucking idiots out there making pop music will put on a Neil Diamond album. He's fucking amazing. True, he's old as shit. Maybe they'll discover David Bowie and forget about Taylor Swift one day. Right. I don't want that at all. I get to sleep and on weekends and learn to make Shack, Shaka. It's the most fulfilling life I can conceive of. I'm happy. Why won't anyone believe me? Anyway, it almost goes without saying that I would love to see the reaction to male pop artists who wrote with the same unchecked verve about having a date to date a woman who see things this way. The soft, big orchard of low musical expectations. But pop music isn't just about lyrics. And when it comes to the actual music, I am not sure where her own skill ends and that of her big league collaborators, which now include the one man Swedish hit factory Max Martin. Who? Bon Iver, and everyone in between. I've heard of Bon Iver. Right. Begins, while I don't doubt she has talent as a songwriter, her songs are a corporate product, both in the sense that they are almost always co-created by a team of songwriters. Yeah, and this team of songwriters sucks. You know, back in the day, it took one songwriter to write an amazing fucking song like Freddie Mercury. Now it takes a team to write shit because none of those songwriters are even on the level of a Freddie Mercury or like a fucking David Bowie or even like a Diana Ross. Right. If she wrote her own songs. Or a Niles Roger that probably wrote her songs. Right. Some of them. Right. These people can't even be on Nile Rodgers' level of songwriting. He was amazing, right? With a track record of hits, and then how they are then marketed, which is to say that Taylor Swift excels at writing popular songs, but that's not the same thing as writing good songs. Yeah, on a musical level, I don't expect people to be such nerds. They have articulate options about the overuse and abuse of the IV progression. But uh, suffice to say that if you think that in the last 20 years all pop music has started to sound the same, that's a very good reason for that. Taylor Swift is one of the worst offenders in the sense that she's not just going to the well until it runs dry lyrically, she's also essentially writing the same songs over and over again. Och, that's why she's so horrible. Och, I scoff at her for doing that. Again, maybe casual listeners aren't to be expected to pick up on this, but to a remotely trained ear, the pop songwriting is like pornography. You know it the moment you hear it. The Beatles catalog is comparatively uh, devoid of songs consisting of these same trait and overused chord progressions. And if you think of individual chords and melodies as a proxy for evoking different emotions, Taylor Swift's music occupies a very, very specific range in terms of brief of the human condition. She is speaking to, granted, it's perhaps the broadest, most appealing, and shallowest trench. So that's something. To drag this back to the Beatles, think about Eleanor Rigby. It's incredibly sophisticated. Yeah, I love this song. There are counter melodies, uh, stack staccato strings, and it's notable for its repeated use of uh, plagao cadences, where the uh, I and the V chord resolves to the I, or root chord in the key. Musically, this particular songwriting move is most closely identified with hymnody. It's also known as the Amen cadence, a remarkable move for a song about church life, and one McCartney probably did instinctively. Which brings us to the lyrics. McCartney is putting himself in the shoes of others and trying to empathize with their loneliness. Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been, lives in a dream, waits at the window, wearing the face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Who is it for? Listening to the song, you could just imagine him as the 15-year-old choir boy at St. Peter's in Liverpool, closely observing the characters in the church around him. It's a series of concise, but unforgettable uh, vignettes that people, that, that listeners such as myself have a world away would otherwise have no connection or insight into. Right. Great fucking song. I love it. Even my connection to it, the way he put it together. Right. And it's not just that this is all 1,000 times more sophisticated than Swift has ever done. Yeah, with the strings and all that. Well, George Martin in the mid, that's when they did Eleanor Rigby. The time period past the backbeat, right, before they would shut down and not tour anymore. They told him, we would like you to arrange this song, George, in this era of classical music. They could be like, yeah, we'd like some Bach on this, or go Baroque. Right. They would just tell him what to arrange it on, and he would arrange it. And that makes him kind of the fifth Beatle at that point. Yeah. All right. Anything Swift has ever done? Yes, it is that. But more importantly, it is just 2 minutes and 6 seconds long, and still one of the catchiest pop songs in history. Did I mention McCartney was 23 years old when he wrote this? And multi track recording was in its infancy. Swift is 33 years old, has 10 studio albums under her belt, and has limitless resources to pursue her artistic vision. Anyone want to make a case that her body of work evinces a great deal of artistic exploration and emotional growth over the course of her career? I don't think it does. Well, to be fair, maybe a lot of songwriters wouldn't fare well when compared directly to the Beatles. But that's not necessarily the point. True. Right. The Beatles at a point could stop touring and still make a lot of money. Their albums were still hits. They still made singles and made a killing. And they didn't have to tour. And they can make any kind of record they wanted to and be in the studio for any amount of time that they wanted to be. They already sold millions before that. Yeah. Yeah. I could easily draft a version of this rant about the decline and listener expectations regarding the songwriter complexities of lesser pop stars from previous generations, such as Phil Collins, or pop stars I don't personally care that much for, such as Madonna. Heck, Sting sold millions and millions of records in the 1980s, packed with slow, showy, riddly references to Paul Bowles, Nab Akuf, Christopher Marrow, Nietzsche, etc. One of his big hits. Even swiped the music from Pro 05. Okay. Not that I specifically endorse making music. It's difficult to listen to or needlessly pretentious lyrics. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of the cycle of pop. It's for the youth. Right. What's for? I mean, they'll pay attention to pop, get nuts about it, and go, oh my God, that's so incredible. The rest of us older people will be like, that sucks. You like it because you're young dumb and don't know any really great music and are falling for this fucking bullshit. But a big part of the problem that Swift is very, very good at serving an audience that has been conditioned to accept less terms of musical and lyrical sophistication. Look, you can choose to like Taylor Swift, and I concede she's so good at exact thing she does that she's hard to resist in certain contexts. If the occasional 3-minute bursts of Swift make you feel good, I won't deny you that. However, the over the top celebrations of Swift's success says volumes about the stagnation of pop culture. At some point, we have to recognize that even if you embrace the limits of pop music, the distance between middle brow entertainment and the lowest common denominator is enormous. Yeah, one day we'll have better pop music, but I don't know if I'll be alive when that happens. It'll be in the world somewhere. Or maybe the party of better pop music will get started by someone that ain't American, influence the entire world. You never know. Our need for shared artistic connection cannot be allowed to overwhelm a duty to also collectively seek out music that takes us places and challenges us with insights to the human condition, revelations about ourselves we don't know or maybe didn't want to know, and otherwise produces insights to the problems of others. And I, for one, already know enough to know Taylor Swift just doesn't have it in her to do that. Oh shit, now it's over. Oh shit, yeah, that's right.